Welcome to the Babies in Business Podcast. Join your hosts, Rachel and Avram Gonzalez, real-life parents and business partners. Each week on Babies in Business, Rachel and Avram create a space for entrepreneurial parents to find their own way. They'll dive into insights on topics like leadership, efficiency, self-awareness, budgeting, and human psychology as they nurture their family and build their business. Here's your hosts, Avram and Rachel.
You can love somebody dearly and still be incredibly frustrated with them.
Oh, that's a fact. Take my 3-year-old, for example. Oh my God. Anyway, back on topic.
Any sort of relationship, especially long-term, you're talking your marriages.
Yep.
You're talking your children.
Yeah.
You know, the rest of your
Siblings.
family.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then in a lot of cases, there's your business relationships. You know, hopefully you are building a team and those team members stick with you for years.
Yeah.
That's the ideal, you know, and then you help elevate them to move up in your organization or move on into something greater.
Right. But everybody wants to be moving. Nobody wants to be somewhere and feel like that they have arrived, unless it's really stellar.
Yeah. And so we decided to share this story from our past. It might have come up in other podcast episodes. I think it has.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm pretty sure we've told the story.
Mm-hmm. But we have been thinking recently just about how important it is to have the right person in the right seat.
Yes.
And ironically, we have a story related to driving and people being in the wrong seat that we want to share today, because we had a day that we were doing something that we ended up loving.
It was so much fun.
We look back on this experience with so much fondness because it was before our children were born.
Yeah.
And we're getting to do this
thing. It was just a lot of time together and connection, even though we were focused on doing something and we weren't really talking. We were not having conversations, not like we were doing anything specific like that, but it was just a lot of time together.
So it did involve a high level of frustration and stress, a breaking point, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what the story centers around, and the breakthroughs that we had on the other side. There's some really great tools that we have to share with you when it comes to hiring, when it comes to getting along with your spouse long-term.
Communication.
All this stuff.
And being willing to stand up and say something when it's not working for you.
So what were we doing 5 years ago?
About time, yeah. Yeah, so we were taking photos of different places around town here in Albuquerque. And we were in my Jeep. You fondly call him Mr. Toad's Wild Ride because the suspension is not like a Lexus. You feel every bump. So both you and I are prone to car sickness. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to tell you this story and you can see how feelings and things could have gotten heightened. Okay, so we were out and we had this list of places that we needed to go to and take a photo of.
Yes.
And there were probably hundreds really on the list.
Yes.
There were a lot.
We would hit like 8 to 10 different areas.
Yes.
In 4 to 5 hours.
Yep.
And
but
we
it
would
be
do about 10 photos in each of those areas. So it was a pretty grueling thing.
It was. It was pretty much a whole Saturday that we would take and dedicate the whole time to. So we start off with me driving and you are giving me directions to our next location, and you are hopping out and taking photos of that place. So we're driving, and you failed to tell me where to turn, so I have to make a U-turn and then go back and not sure where we're going. You're getting frustrated, I'm getting frustrated, and we do this a couple of times. So over quite a
hours,
long time.
Yeah.
We're going and it's just, I'm feeling more frustrated. You're feeling more frustrated. I'm pretty sure you're car sick.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily car sick because I'm driving. So we've got all this stuff going on. I remember we stopped at this one location and I was like, Avram, this is not working. You need to be driving. I'm going to direct and you're going to go out and take the pictures.
And I'm like, I'm the Boy Scout. I have an incredible sense of direction. I'm great with a map. Get out of here, lady. This is my job.
Okay, let's be real. You do not give any anticipatory directions when directing me to go somewhere. You're not like Google. Google will say, you're going to make a right-hand turn. And it's prior to needing to make that turn. And you're like, oh, that was our turn.
No. See, I would dispute that on another podcast. Continue your story.
Okay. I had a lot to say about how he was giving me directions. I was getting frustrated by that. So I told you needed to sit in the driver's seat and you needed to take pictures. You are not happy about that. But I'm like, dude, just try it. You're going to love it.
Yeah.
If you don't love it after a couple of stops, maybe we can switch back. Maybe I said that, maybe I didn't. We'll just say I did.
Well, and it was like, how am I going to drive and jump out and take photos? This makes
You're
no
like,
sense.
this is too much.
Whatever, fine. So we switch, right?
We switch.
We switch.
And tell me the result. I think you need to tell it.
It was magic. We got faster
Yes.
right away.
Oh,
We got faster. We were not car sick anymore.
no.
We found a couple different ways to be even more efficient about what we were doing. So like that day we had a huge win, but then we took everything back to the office. We modified our
made it
process a bit
we
more
simplified it. Yep.
to make it even easier and faster. And I'll tell you what, we'd be flying up into parking lots. I would hop out of the car, boom, boom. I'm taking the photos, jumping back in, and you've got the next spot pulled up on your phone, and we're on to the next one.
Yep. And so it was really, really seamless. And I just did not let whatever it was that we were doing get the better of us.
Sure.
It mattered that we were both pretty cranky at the point where we switched. And then it just got really a lot better. So for me, that thing is being willing to say something if it's not working for you. And if you witness your partner and it's not working for them as well, just have the courage to say something. Whatever you're going through, have the courage to say something.
Yeah. So we discovered that we had the right people.
Yeah,
So you and me were the right team,
absolutely.
but we were literally in the wrong seat. Because we ended up having so much fun after that.
It was so much fun.
And we looked forward to these Saturdays, and we probably had a dozen of them over the course
Absolutely.
of a whole summer or something like
Yep,
that.
yep.
And it was just this thing that we looked forward to doing on a Saturday. Like, we're quote working, but it didn't feel like it. And we got to explore our city in a
It
new
was
way.
so fun. It was so fun. So many good things came of it. And I am absolutely 100% certain, had we not changed seats, it could have meant that we
wouldn't have finished that project.
it wouldn't have finished that project. But I think that had we not been willing to actually investigate that it could have damaged our relationship.
Sure.
To be dramatic, I think it could have, because there could have built resentment and judgments. But really, looking at the system, blaming the system and not the person, is a really great way that we learned from Clockwork.
Yeah.
When things aren't going right, look at the systems that aren't working and serving for you, and then adjust those. And then it's not like it's a personal thing. So, yeah.
I think that there's some great takeaways here. We're going to give you some tools and some things that you can put into practice right away. When you're managing a team, one of the tools that we learned from our experience with Clockwork, if you see the show notes, by the way, we're going to mention all these different things we're talking about today, some past episodes. If you go to babiesandbiz.com/85, that's this episode, 85, you'll see the show notes, all the mentions, all the resources. You can click your way to your heart's content and find all this good stuff. One of the tools that we learned from Clockwork was this tool called the S-curve. And the S-curve is basically a process that you take a team member through over the course of years.
Yes.
And the idea is that in the beginning of their S-curve, that might be when a team member first comes on with you, they're at their least comfortable and least confident, both in their role with you as their quote manager. They're just getting used to the rest of the team and the way things work.
Probably your systems, your processes,
All that
things
stuff.
being done differently.
That might last 6 to 12 months.
Sure.
They find their groove. They find themselves in the middle of that S, which is where they're challenged. They're excited about the things that are going on. That's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
You want people to feel challenged and excited with their work, and that might last a couple of years. And if their role doesn't change or evolve, you find them in the end of the S-curve, which we call mastery, where they start to get bored. And that's when you lose a good team member. So what we do is we have S-curves, an S-curve meaning just a 20, 30-minute get-together on Zoom with me and the team member, or Rachel and the team member, and we are just connecting with them, both about personal, because their personal life is important,
Yeah.
right? You got to attach your business goals to their personal goals and make both important,
Right.
right? And the point of it, though, is to have a pulse on your team member and how engaged and excited they are about their work.
Yeah.
And so, recently I had an S-curve with one of our team members who has gone above and beyond and stepped into some new roles and taking on new things that are outside of their original job description.
Yeah, because he's just so curious and helpful, but also just he loves to do new things and he loves to find answers to questions and puzzle things.
Yep, shout out to Glenn. Glenn,
Yeah.
you're a boss, buddy. And in that S-curve, I'm like, Glenn, you're taking on a lot of these new things that are outside your role.
Right. Outside of the thing you were hired for.
That you were hired for.
That you were really excited
I
about.
mean, how's that going? He's like, well, I really like it. It's exciting. And I said, well, let me ask you a different question. If you had to do this every day moving forward, how would you feel about it in 6 months to a year? And he's like, it's not what I want to be doing. Yeah. But I'm excited about it now because it helps inform my greater role. I said, okay, let's make you a plan to build you into the role that you really like.
Yeah.
Right?
But also keeping him with the writing that he loves to do and helping him. So all the things that he was doing that were outside of his role are adjacent roles and helpful to his role.
Yep.
But he really didn't want to transfer over into that.
Correct. And so that's just one example of the S-curve and how you can make sure that the right people, if you got a good person, you have to do everything you can to make it a great place for them to work.
Yeah.
And so this is one tool that we do to achieve that. And so we want to make sure that he doesn't stay in the wrong seat for too long because he could get car sick.
Yeah, sure. Well, and I also think about it, it's for your team members, it can be something as simple, like for me and you, how do we keep a pulse on how we are feeling throughout the day or whatever that is? Sometimes I'll ask for your one word for the day.
Sure.
Or I'll ask, how are you feeling? Are you stressed about something? Because maybe you're quiet or whatever those tells are that maybe are letting me know that it's not the best day. Then I invite you to bring me into your world and help me understand how things are going. And then I can know maybe how to support you. I see that being the same for S-curves is that we're inviting people to give feedback and say, no, I don't like this, or yes, I do like this. And we're making it an environment where the answers don't have to be what you think we would like.
Yeah.
We actually invite honesty.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Well, and I think that's what's cool about it is it's formalized.
Yeah.
So it's happening on a consistent basis and
Absolutely.
people know what it is and they know that that's an opportunity to share something or bring something up.
Yes.
Versus like, imagine going months and months
stewing
and
over
stewing
something.
over something, but not feeling comfortable to bring it forward or having an
Right.
environment to do that.
Well, oftentimes with bosses, you don't feel invited to give feedback. I had a job where I was the forklift operator and, my bosses would say, hey, if you have any ideas or if you have suggestions or whatever that was that they would say, bring them to me. And I did one time. I say one time because they didn't actually want feedback. I gave feedback one time and it was really balked at and just like ignored and nothing came of it. So you can teach people that their opinion doesn't matter, or you can teach them that they do matter. And in our organization, we want to teach them that they matter.
Yeah. And the S-curves is one way that we do that. And so far, so good.
We want to help them continue to feel like they can progress to who they want to be and what they want to achieve with us. They don't need to go elsewhere to find that opportunity.
You want to share one of the tools? It's surprising we haven't actually mentioned the tool yet because it's been on several podcasts. What's the tool that helped us understand in our relationship people's strengths and weaknesses, and how did that cultivate understanding for you of some of my quirks?
Before I mention the tool, I just want to kind of lay the groundwork. Is there were times where you and I would be working together and carving out our roles, understanding what our responsibilities were. It was pretty clear that you had strategy and I had the financial stuff.
Yep.
But there were some other finer points of things that we did on a daily basis that really weren't defined and would be on your plate to do, but you'd never get them done.
Yeah.
And I would be very frustrated with you about that. And then there were things on my list, possibly, I'm pretty sure there were things on my list that I never got done and you got frustrated with. So vice versa. We were frustrated with things that weren't getting done by the other person. So the Clifton Strength Finder is the test that we took. Really cool test. It's a dynamic one. You go in, you're going to answer questions. You're going to be given grades, like a grade of how you could answer. do you agree strongly with this, or do you totally disagree? And you're given this range to answer your questions.
It's like no other test because you can't game it and you can't tell what the questions are trying to get at, so you can't overthink it.
If you take too long, the question will actually be replaced with a different one.
Yeah.
So it is about time. It's your first instinct. You answer it instinctively, and then you move on. So what we found out from this test was that you are really strategic, but have zero follow through and like get it done kind of thing in you. Me, I have zero strategy and I am all about the lists and get it done, bring it to a close. Marry us together and we have a really awesome tool belt to pick from. Now, when I looked at this, it was like, whoa, okay, this whole test is geared towards what are our strengths. So it clumps our top 10 strengths together at the top, and then all of the others kind of smatter throughout. And there's like 30.
Yeah, 34.
Would you say? It was really telling because we knew exactly from that test where our strengths were. And there's more for me to say about what it did for me personally.
And we got other podcasts in the show notes.
Yeah.
You can check it out.
But what it did for us in our relationship on that level was I recognized, oh my gosh, you have had things on your list that literally drain the life out of you because you have no proclivities to do it. You're not good at it. You don't like it, but I do. So we saw the types of tasks that were good for you and the type of tasks that were good for me. The things that you love drain me. The things I love drain you. So perfect pairing, and we just moved forward celebrating what we're good at. And then instead of judging that you were not good at something or I was not good at something, we just simply said, wrong person for that task. And we just gave it to the other person. And then again, there are things that neither you or I are good at, and we hire for those things. But when it comes to how we work together, it made a huge difference for us to find out, whoa.
Yeah. A lot of times you have the right person with the right intentions.
Yes.
And they're willing.
Yes.
But they are not equipped well.
They're just not built that way.
They're not built that way.
Yeah, they don't think that way. Like strategy, you put me in a strategy seat and I'm going to melt into a puddle.
Mm-hmm.
You put me next to you, you tell me, you paint the picture of strategy for me, and I can break that down into step-by-step tasks and a list that we could actually move forward and get to completion.
Yeah.
And that's why we're so good together.
Yeah, you help me refine the big ideas into the finer points that make up a well-rounded strategy.
Yeah.
Right?
That we can actually bring to fruition, because if it were just you, it would stay in the imagination form. And if it were just me, I'd just have steps, but attached to no vision.
Yeah.
So pretty cool. But that test, Clifton Strength Finder. If you want to strengthen your marriage, it's good for that. If you want to help make sure that your team members are in the proper seats, it's good for that.
Yep.
So many things that you can learn from it.
Yeah, I would recommend even doing the test before you hire somebody. And that's
Didn't we do that with our brand new people?
We didn't this time,
Okay.
but we decided after going through it that it would have been even more impactful just knowing what that was before.
Yeah.
I think we got lucky.
Yeah.
Right? We got really lucky that the two people that we picked to bring on our team, that we did the test after they were on and that it worked well with what we had.
Yeah.
But if I were to do it again in the next round of hiring that we do, we will include this $50 test.
Yeah.
As
Because
part of
it's
it.
so valuable. You know, you can have people tell you who they are, and then you can actually see who they are with a test like this.
Well, I'll put it
That
like
helps
this.
you with the strengths.
I'll put it like this. One of the roles that we're going to hire for this year is the official SEO, search engine optimization role, where I've been filling the whole strategic part of that seat since the beginning of the business.
Yeah.
And in the beginning of the business, I was also doing the implementation.
Yeah.
And today we have people that are doing the implementation of the strategy.
Right.
I'm still doing the strategy.
Right.
But when we hire for the next person, we're going to have to decide, are we hiring for a strategic person?
Right.
Or are we hiring for the I'm going to get it done
Right.
person?
Because those are not the same people.
They are not the same people. If we hire a strategist, we're going to have the chief that has no Indians to order around and nothing getting done.
Right.
And if we do it on the flip side, I'm still involved in all the strategy.
Right.
And they're getting it done. Probably much better than we have now.
Right.
Because they're going to be a specialist. But
Right.
the Strengths Finder will help you understand who you are hiring for that role, because the person that can speak really well to the role oftentimes and has the vision for it
is the strategist.
They're the strategist. They're not the implementer. So
well, and then for the implementer, it might just be some knowledge of SEO
Correct.
and some, but having the strengths to actually go and implement, and then you can train them on what to do. So in your organization, when you're hiring people, make sure you're hiring for something that you can train and decide what you're looking for. So if you're looking for the strategist, you will still need to train them because you need them to think about the strategy the way that you do so that it can be served to your specific client, what you have sold them. But then also the implementer is, could you train them on how to do the thing? Can you also do that?
Mm-hmm.
You can't hire and train somebody and have them feel successful if you yourself don't know the role.
Yeah. We have a really incredible podcast that's on this particular subject. It's episode 72, Your First Hire.
Yeah.
We talk about Clifton StrengthsFinder. We talk about the step-by-step process that we went through to hire 2 wonderful team members right out of the gate.
Yeah.
In a way that we've never done before. It was so simple. It got the right people in front of us, and they've been incredible team members for like 8 months now.
Yeah. Well, and if you have that thought going in your head, well, there's nobody out there to hire. There are no good people to hire. Think again. Listen to that episode, 72. Yeah. It'll help you.
Yeah,
there really are people out there that can support you.
Because your mindset and your process for hiring both need significant work. Both of those things are in that episode. So if you go to babiesandbiz.com/85, is that this one's episode?
Yeah.
You can find those resources, other podcasts that we talked about. Anything else we have on this subject?
Don't be afraid, like we said, don't be afraid to bring up those hard questions to your team members. Do you like what you're doing here? Maybe you don't want to hear the answer, but if you really want to keep them around, you do want to know the answer. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you for listening to this episode. We'd love it if you reached out to us. We have an email. Always had it. hello@babiesandbiz.com. We are looking for episode topic suggestions. So if you email those to us, say, hey, I got an episode, topic I want you to consider. We'd love to see that. We're closing in on about 100 episodes here. And while I know we have a lot of ideas and stuff still in the tank, we could sure use some new ones and be able to create some content that you really, really want to hear about versus what we think you want to hear about. Because it's prevalent in our life. We're like, yeah, other people have got to relate to this. And we know that you do.
And we're having the conversations anyway.
Yeah, why not record them? We also would love to create episodes that are exactly what you want to hear. So reach out to us, hello@babiesandbiz.com. You can also visit the website for all the show notes like we talked about. And with that, we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Babies in Business podcast. Who do you know that would benefit from hearing this episode? Share it with them and post about it on social media. You can find the show notes for this episode, free downloads, and connect with the rest of the community at babiesandbiz.com. We'll see you next time.